What's going on, guys? Oh, excuse me. Today I'm just going to do this will be a short little video. I'm going to try and get a couple of these in a week of just me talking about takeaways from what I'm doing and what I'm doing in business. Today's going to really be about my takeaways from 75 Hard. And I'll wait a minute till a couple people hop in here. It's pretty early, so maybe no one comes in, but they'll watch it a little bit later. I just finished 75 Hard after about, like 180 days. It was life changing in the aspect of, I thought 75 Hard was all about grit. It was like, whatever, bro, I got grit. I can kill this shit. I'm going to do everything amazing. I got it. And then I failed, I think the first time about a month and a half in, and I have never, that was when I was felt so defeated, right? And for the first time I've had to face, trust me, entrepreneurship is all adversity, but it's the first time I'd really tried at something and wholeheartedly failed, and then had to live with that failure, sit, reevaluate myself, and then go hop back into the next one. That shit, the first failure killed me. Well, I thought it killed me. And then I go and I get 40 days in the next time, and I failed again. And I legitimately almost cried. I was pissed off for a day. And both of these were because I didn't take pictures. I was posting on social media hey, man, I'm doing it. I'm on this. I'm on this. I'm on this. And then my little bitch ass self, I quit posting on it because I was sick of my friends giving me shit bro, how many times are you going to do this? Are you ever going to complete this? Blah, blah, blah. You've been doing 75 Hard for 2 years. Fuck, bro, I know. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. And after those two failures, I failed, 5 more times sporadically of, okay, maybe I go for a week, and then something comes up and I'm you know what? I'm only a week into it. Fuck this. I'll come back and redo it again. Or maybe it's, I'm not mentally prepared enough to hop back into it again. That was the biggest thing, right? To where I'd be 2 days into it and I would break. I was bro, do I really want to do this yet? Am I mentally prepared yet? Am I there? And for a lot of it, I wasn't. And then finally, I failed again on New Year's. I think again, 30 days into it. And it was because I didn't take a picture at, 3 a.m. So I got my morning workout in, right? So I get my morning workout in. We go out to a New Year's Eve party, and then I have to go on my walk or whatever. So I'm on my walk at 3 a.m. I'm hell yeah, you got this. You've already read. You've done all that. And then I wake up the next morning. They're hey, you didn't take a picture. I was oh. So that little attention to detail has at least reflected in my everyday life of okay, are you really paying attention, right? So you say you have the grit, but then here I am, and I wake up the next day you didn't do this easiest thing, right? You feel you're a badass up at 3 a.m. walking, try not to get hit by drunk drivers on New Year's Eve, and then here you go, right? Now you got to start over again, and that shit really, that again breaks you. So I got to start back over again. And I was bro, you know what? Nothing else. And a big part of this was just letting it click, and then nothing else matters, right? Okay, if this motherfucker can do it, I for sure can do it. You see, and I operate out of that as far as business and life goes. And I always have, to where this person is not any different than me, any better than me. If he can achieve it, I can achieve it and do better. And so I finally got it. And so now we passed. I've done it. And I'm, I'll take a couple of days off, but then I'm sitting here thinking, what am I accomplishing in my day-to-day now, not only in business and life, but I feel what I loved about 75 Hard is I was checking something off every day, right? I'd accomplish it and then keep going. I'd accomplish it and then keep going. And there was something hard and there was something tangible that I could keep pushing forward with, to where I didn't do anything yesterday, right? My girlfriend and I made cookies because man, I love homemade cookies. And then I felt there was something missing in my life because I wasn't pushing for that aspect of it. And it really, it just shows in the momentum I feel from the days. And that's why I want to keep doing it, right? I'll go into phase 1 probably tomorrow. But here are some of my major takeaways from this, right? So number 1, time management. The time management aspect of this was really intense as far as getting those workouts in and the sitting down and reading for 10 minutes, right? So they tell you okay, you got to sit down and read. All right, I'm reading. And I used to think audiobooks were amazing. But then as I went and bought the books that I had on Audible, and I'm like, oh my God, I didn't get this point out of that book. I didn't get this point out of that book. I didn't get this point out of that book. It made me realize how much I'm leaving on the table by just doing Audible, right? Because you'll listen and then you'll start doing something and you're taking it in, but you're not taking it in fully, right? So one thing I did to somewhat speed up my reading is I go buy the book on Audible. I'll go buy the book in person, and I will put my Audible at 2.3 speed, and I will read and listen to it at the same time so I can still process it and get through it faster, because I wanted to be a little bit more efficient, and I read at the speed of a 5-year-old. So that helped me out a lot, and it really made me see like, whoa, Strat, like you didn't get this point as I'm reading what I read. I read Traction, Scaling Up, the Little Red Book of Sales, a lot of John Maxwell, and a couple more to where there were some major takeaways that I wish I would have gotten before. And me being able to sit down and actually read and only concentrate on that. Like, all right, don't do the dishes, don't clean your room, don't do any of this other stuff while you're listening to Audible. Just sit down, read, take it all in. And then I take copious notes now in an app called Notion, to where I can have takeaways from that if I need to go back to it. And that way I can at least know what I got out of it. And it's like, oh yeah, that was a good book, or no, that wasn't a good book. The second thing I took away was the grit and perseverance, right? I think one thing that I've always prided myself on was having grit, having the perseverance. Like me, I was only ever a good football player because I had grit. Like I was not athletic. I was not anything special, but I knew I would outwork everybody to get there. And I didn't care how many times I failed. I was going to fucking get it. And then here I go to 75 hard, and I'm failing over and over again, and really sitting here having to talk to myself like, all right, this is you're in a bitch talking to you. You can't quit. Like you got to keep going at this. You got to keep going at this. Even though I've feeling that defeated from failing so many times, I knew I had to get it. And that grit and perseverance, obviously, it showed a little bit more, right? Because you think you have it, but like, let's use it to put to some test, right? Not just staying to the office until 9 o'clock at night saying, oh yeah, I'm fucking working, but what are you truly working on? What was the next one? I don't need to really drink that much, right? To where I used to always love to go out and drink with my friends and do that. And don't get me wrong, I drank at the mastermind this weekend, but it's not as big of a deal, right? Because I love drinking a glass of wine with dinner, and I'd love to go out and drink with my friends and party. And I realized I don't need to drink as much, and I'm getting a lot older. We traveled all day yesterday, and I felt like I was about to die on the airplane because I was so hungover. And that was only from having like a couple beers at the mastermind. So the drinking thing isn't really something I'm going to miss. I love doing it socially, but I could see the amount of focus it's brought into my life from not drinking heavy and not having those really sloppy mornings anymore. Because for me, at least, I used to never get hungover, and now I'll drink a little bit and it's like, Jesus Christ, bro. Like my head hurts. I feel like I'm going to throw up all the time, and it throws off my whole day. The next one, I felt so much better achieving things every day, right? To where I'm checking something off every day, and I can feel that momentum building, right? So I accomplish this, and then I accomplish it the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day. And it keeps compounding, right? To where I can feel it pushing me forward. And it got easier, but I felt so much better. Just like, bro, you're doing it. You're doing something. And I'm going. And that momentum's carrying into so many other aspects of my life. Next takeaway, keto sucks, but it works, right? When I first got started, I was like 230. It was awful. And then the first time I did keto was for like a month and a half. And over this period, I've dropped about 30 pounds to where when we first got started doing 75 hard, I decided to do it because I was like, yeah, man, I want to get into it. But number two was, we drank for like the entire month of August because we had a bunch of parties, celebrations, weddings, bachelor parties. to where I look back at the pictures, my face was so big and I barely fit into my wedding outfit, to where it was miserable and I felt shitty. Obviously, my girlfriends tell me I look pretty still, but then I'd like look in the mirror and like, bro, you're a fat piece of shit. You got to get on it. And that was just awful. But the keto thing, like I dropped weight like that and I felt so much better. And now I think I'm at like 195, 200, back to where I was at with my playing weight. The next point was I didn't have, everything I do doesn't have to be hard, right? And so I'll take this into, I played basketball outside for cardio, and I got a way better workout doing that than I would have if I have gone and jogged, right? Number one, I get that competitive juice kicking in, right? So I'm like, all right, this fucking 15-year-old's not going to take me to the hoop. So I get that kicking in, like, oh no, you know what, we're going to win. All of that to where I can push myself in that way, get a better workout than me going and fucking jogging at the park. And it's not going to be the same. I'm going to hate every single minute of it, to where I love doing this. It's fun. And it went by significantly faster, but it was still a hard workout to where I'd be drenched afterwards. So finding the best way to do the hard things. And there's nothing wrong with that, to where you don't want your ego to quite get in the way of that. The next one, momentum is huge. I don't want to stop just because I don't want to lose momentum. I don't want to stop at all, because I've built up so much momentum in my life. We have so many big things coming in business, so many big things coming in our relationship, to where I'm afraid if I do stop, it'll all go away, right? To where I don't want it to go away. I want it to get bigger and bigger and bigger and see where it can take us. And then the routines are the key to everything. At the end of this, I got my morning routine really dialed in, to where if I didn't get it dialed in, if I didn't start with high energy, if I wasn't aware of me waking up and like, Stratton, you feel great today. Like me telling myself, you got to be happy. You can't let some random bad dream throw you off. And like that shit does happen. Me waking up, I'll turn music on, do my 5-minute journal, probably hop on social media because I'm struggling with that, right? And then I'm going about my day, but then I have like my walk, my reading, my journaling, and then we have our morning routine with Zeno, right? But I've built my routine, so it's not hard anymore, right? This is what we do. This is what I do now, to where instead of like, oh, I got to go do this, at this point, it's just autopilot, right? I walk through it, like, oh, okay, let's go on our walk. Let's go play basketball. Let's go to the gym. All right, now we got to take Zeno to school. Now I got this, and that. And I was one who was really against routine, right? Because I'm a really spontaneous, sporadic person, per se. So I didn't want that in my life, but at least having a dialed in morning routine has changed my life for the better. And then managing my energy, starting my mornings off strong and positive, to where every morning we started to play, like I just turn on music, make sure it's really good music, really positive music. And then when I'm going on my walk in the mornings, I'm listening to some type of positive energy book or podcast mindset item, to where that energy is not stopping, man. Like, so I got the good music in the morning, and then I got the positive energy podcast, Andy Frisella, Ed Milet. Who else? Maybe I'm listening to like a Bob Proctor book, or You're a Badass and Making Money, right? And then that is all. I already feel great. I already feel like I'm ready to go attack the day. I'm ready to go achieve something. And just staying positive, because like if I wake up and my energy's down, for one, I need to be aware of why my energy's down. Like, bro, okay, why are you feeling this way? And then doing somewhat of an internal audit to make sure, okay, I'm feeling this way because that, and talk myself through it. And then let's bring myself back and have high energy. Because one thing, I know a couple of people who I think have amazing energy and high energy all the time, and it shows, right? So now all of my employees see me as high energy, and I can go change the vibe of something, right? I want my energy to be so strong that where I go, I control that room or that environment's vibe, right? Let's say I go into a room and I automatically, blow, like, oh, he's here. Energy's already up. I walk into a meeting for a company, blow, he's here. Energy's already up, right? To where I have that internal temperature where it's just going. And it's taken a lot for me to just be self-aware enough of how I feel. And even my girlfriend will keep me in check. Like, hey, your vibe's off. Like, what the fuck's going on with you? What are you thinking about? What's going on here? What's going on there? And then I can sit down, think, okay, well, this is going on. Well, why do you feel that way? And then bounce back and let's keep that energy high. Because I think that is truly a talent that some people are born with, right? But Like you work on it to always be there, right? And like sometimes you turn it off. But I think that is an amazing talent that well, not a talent, it's a skill that I'm working on that will reflect in every aspect of my life. If any of you guys have any questions, I'll stay on here for a couple minutes to see what questions you had about 75 harder, if you should do it. As I think everyone should do it. Let's say you think you're fat, you know you're fat, hop into it, and you have to commit, right? You can't, that was the biggest part. Out of everything, I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Nothing else matters. I'm going to do it. I will complete it. I'm going to do it. To where the mental, like sitting down and like mentally preparing myself to do said thing was the biggest obstacle. And then you have all these other little obstacles that you learn from. But most people won't even sit down, breathe, like, all right, this is going to be hard, but I'm going to do it. And that's why they don't end up losing the weight. That's why they don't end up achieving something, because they will give up halfway through to where, like, fuck it, all right, start over. Let's keep on going. Whoever this is, thank you so much, man. I cannot, or woman, I apologize, but I can't type your name in for me. 75 hard was no joke. But again, it was an amazing 180 days. I learned so much about myself, but I'll keep going. I'll start phase one sometime this week, and then push and then see what I can develop within myself. Oh, what's going on, Dylan? All right. Anyone else have any questions, comments about 75 hard? What I'd suggest for you to do, diets. I tell you, if you do keto, get mentally ready. And then all that other stuff. We got 11 people in here, so that's pretty good. Huh. I guess not. People's going to sit here and watch me drink coffee. Well then, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm going to do tomorrow. I'm going to do a takeaway from the mastermind Kalani and I went to this weekend. She's the one who joined it. And it was an amazing decision. It will help our call center a ton. What's been my biggest challenge? My biggest challenge was, out of all of them, I mean, I failed on the picture, but I would say, and this goes back into the energy thing, and this is a little bit weird, keeping my energy high every day and going at every day with the same intensity over and over and over again is something that I learned was really hard to do, to where you don't really think about that, right? But I'd say, yeah, keeping the intensity the whole time, to where now I like this because I want to triple down on the intensity throughout my day-to-day. That was, I'd say, the biggest challenge. But our takeaway, tomorrow I'll do our takeaways from the Storage Rebellion. Amazing mastermind. It wasn't a pissing contest at all, right? When you go to these other ones and people are telling you, I do this, this, and this. It was, what's it called? Eye-opening to see how people structure their businesses so their businesses just work for them. My beautiful significant other. How long did it take for me to get into the 75 hard routine? I don't know, babe. How long did it take? I would say the last time I did it so halfway through the 75 hard is when I really felt that routine kick in and felt that momentum kick in, and it wasn't hard for me to wake up early in the morning anymore. And me just building that momentum and waking up early and go get the app called Alarmy, to where the only way my alarm will go off is I have to play a game and I have to beat the game for it to go off, right? Instead of me being able to snooze my alarm. Like yesterday, we had, like, it kept going off and I had to wake up, like match the tiles again. And it sucks, right? But it forced me to get up and I had to be cognizant, right? To where my girlfriend will get mad at me, like, Stratton, I tried to wake you up last night and you told me no, I'm going back to sleep, and I have no recognition of that. What was my go-to meal? Honestly, bro, I live off of cheese and kombucha. Yeah, cheese and kombucha was my go-to meal, hands down. As awful as that sounds. I don't eat anything. the way I go, and I'm not really a big eater, so I just had to kind of cut out the candy. But all right, guys, I'm going to go in, get some other work in today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will talk to you guys tomorrow.